You thought it was love, didn't you? That feeling, electric, consuming, full of wonder. You thought this was it. The kind of love that artists paint, that poets bleed for. And for a while it was. But now things feel different. Duller. Heavier. You find yourself questioning, wondering if maybe something's wrong, or if it's just over. But what if it's not? What if this isn't the end of the story, just the chapter? Where most people close the book, there are 4 stages of love. Not 2, not 3, 4. Most people only experience the first 2. Most relationships collapse at the 3rd. But if you understand what's really happening, in your mind, your emotions, your soul, if you hold on long enough to reach the 4th, what awaits you is something Carl Jung described not as mere romance, but as individuation, the alchemical fusion of 2 inner worlds. Not perfect love, not painless love, real love. Let's begin. 1. The attraction and infatuation stage. You meet them, they look at you, and for a moment the world tilts. Something opens in you, something ancient, instinctual. This isn't just excitement, this is recognition. It's as if your soul turns toward them and whispers, "There you are." In Jungian psychology, this moment is called projection. You aren't truly seeing them yet. Not entirely. What you see is your anima, or your animus, the idealized image of the masculine or feminine within your unconscious. You project this inner archetype onto the other person, turning them into a mirror for your soul's deepest yearnings. This is why they seem perfect. You don't just fall for them. You fall into yourself, into your unmet needs, your childhood wounds, your repressed desires, and for a moment they feel like the cure. There's laughter, late-night conversations, bodies wrapped in warmth and chemicals. You create a fantasy together, often without realizing it. You feel complete, but it's not real. Not yet. And the danger of this stage is that most people don't know it's a dream. You think you're falling in love with them, but really, you're falling in love with the part of yourself you've never met, the one they seem to bring alive. But that illusion can't last, because no human being can carry your soul for you. Eventually, the cracks start to show. You don't see them yet, or maybe you do, but you excuse them. You tell yourself, everyone has flaws, and that's true. But something deeper is beginning. The projection is weakening, and the unconscious is preparing to reveal its next act. 2. The revelation and reality stage. Time passes, the chemicals settle, and suddenly the dream starts to dissolve. The golden haze lifts, and now you begin to see the actual person in front of you. And it's confusing. They don't behave the way they used to. They don't always understand you. Their habits, once cute, now irritate you. And worse, you start to realize they're not who you thought they were, because they never were. This stage isn't about falling out of love. It's about waking up. And it's disorienting, even painful. Because now you're not in love with a fantasy. You're in relationship with a real, breathing human being, full of complexity, contradiction, and their own unresolved shadow. Carl Jung warned us, the greatest danger in romantic relationships isn't the other person. It's the parts of ourselves we refuse to see. And now they are being revealed. Maybe you notice your neediness, your defensiveness, your longing for validation. Or maybe you notice your partner's avoidance, their inability to express affection, their unspoken rage. This is where reality comes in. This is where love demands something more. It's no longer enough to feel. Now you must choose to show up, to communicate, to grow. But here's where the truth begins to harden. Many people leave at this stage. They confuse discomfort for incompatibility. They believe something is broken when in fact, it's only beginning to be built. Because love that is not tested by reality is not love. It is projection. It is fantasy. It is a mask you both wore until it cracked under the weight of the truth. If you walk away now, you will almost certainly find this same pattern with someone else. The same projection, the same disillusionment. The faces change, but the cycle does not. The relationship is now standing at a precipice. Do you run, or do you stay and begin the real work? Because what comes next is the hardest part, and the most necessary. 3. The disappointment and power struggle stage. This is the graveyard of love stories. Not because they were doomed, but because they were tested. This is where the shadow arrives, not metaphorically, but in the very real friction between two psyches, colliding, entangling, resisting. You begin to notice things in your partner that unsettle you. Maybe they withdraw. Maybe they criticize. Maybe they shut down, erupt, manipulate, avoid. But look deeper. You're not just reacting to them. You're reacting to yourself, reflected back through them. In Jungian terms, the shadow is the part of you that remains unconscious. The fears, wounds, and beliefs you disown. In relationships, this is where the shadow becomes activated. You'll find yourself saying things you never imagined. You'll do things that surprise even you. Or you'll go numb, tired of the constant emotional chessboard. You start to wonder, did I make a mistake? Are we just too different? Why does this feel so hard? Because it is hard. This is where the unconscious confronts the other. This is the inner child demanding to be heard. The unhealed wounds of both people erupting like fault lines under pressure. This is not Hollywood love. This is psychological love. Gritty, confrontational, necessary. And most people quit here. Why? Because they mistake pain for a red flag. Because they were taught love should be easy, or passionate, or endlessly validating. But Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And here, in the fire of disillusionment, your unconscious is screaming to be made conscious. This is the power struggle, the most dangerous part of any relationship. You fight not because you hate each other, but because your psyches are attempting to differentiate, to protect your individual identities, while still staying connected. It's a tug of war. Do I get to be me in this relationship? Can I say no and still be loved? Do you see me, truly, or just the version you want? You'll try to change them. They'll try to change you. Arguments recycle. Resentment builds. Sex may fade or become a battleground itself. And every quiet night feels loaded with what's unspoken. Here is where relationships die. Not from lack of love, but from lack of awareness. Because no one taught us this stage was normal. No one told us that love meant seeing not only the beauty in another, but their brokenness, and still choosing to stay. Not to tolerate abuse, that's not love, but to stay in the tension long enough to learn what love actually is. The choice you make here defines the entire future. Leave, and you will carry the same wounds into the next story. The cycle will begin again. Attraction, fantasy, reality, rupture, or stay. And begin the most profound inner journey of your life. Because if you survive this stage, what waits on the other side is not just peace, not just partnership, it's transcendence. 4. The acceptance stage. Something strange happens after the storm. You stop fighting to change them. You stop hoping they'll fill your emptiness. You stop trying to win. And in that stillness, something new emerges. Acceptance. Not the shallow kind that tolerates bad behavior or silences your needs. Not passivity. Not resignation. But a quiet, deep recognition. This is who you are. And this is who I am. And we are still here. You no longer love the illusion of them. You love the flawed, aching, beautiful reality of who they are. And who you are becoming through this relationship. This is what Jung meant when he spoke of individuation, the process of integrating the many layers of the self. And now, you are not just lovers. You are mirrors. You are teachers. You are, in the truest sense, partners in the alchemical fire of growth. Attraction becomes devotion. Disappointment becomes understanding. Power struggles become compassion. The relationship is no longer a battleground, but a laboratory for healing. You begin to see the ways your partner's wounds reflect your own. And you don't try to fix them. You sit with them. You walk with them. You learn to love what you once feared. This kind of love is not exciting in the way infatuation is. It's not fiery. It's quiet. But don't mistake that quiet for weakness. It is the quiet of an ancient forest, still and strong. It is the quiet of someone who no longer needs to prove their worth, because they have finally come home to it. There's less drama now, more presence, more truth, more space for both of you to be whole. You realize you don't need them to complete you, and yet, their presence deepens your life in ways you could never have imagined. Not because they are perfect, but because they stayed. Because you both chose to look inward instead of running away. At this stage, you are no longer ruled by chemistry. You are rooted in consciousness, and consciousness changes everything. You begin to practice forgiveness, not as a one-time event, but as a way of living. You forgive them for not being your fantasy. You forgive yourself for ever expecting them to be. You learn how to speak without attacking. You learn how to listen without defending. And slowly something sacred begins to form. Not just between you, but within you. You feel safe, not because conflict disappears, but because connection has grown strong enough to hold it. You can argue without the fear of losing everything. You can be vulnerable without shame. You can be yourself, truly, deeply, and still feel loved. This is the stage where love becomes freedom. And yet, this is also the stage most people never reach. Because to get here, you had to die a little. You had to let the fantasy die, the ego die, the belief that love should only feel good die. You had to watch versions of yourself, the insecure one, the defensive one, the codependent one, unravel. And now, in the space where those old selves once stood, a new presence begins to grow. Not someone perfect, but someone whole. And that is the real gift of love. Not to find someone who saves you from yourself, but someone who walks beside you as you meet yourself fully. In this stage, you no longer fear the hard days. You understand that real love isn't about avoiding storms. It's about building shelter strong enough to weather them. And maybe one day, you'll look at the person beside you, wrinkled, imperfect, familiar in every way, and realize they are not your soulmate. They are your soul's mirror. And you chose them. Again and again and again. 5. Beyond acceptance, love is transformation. So here you are. You've made it through the fire. You've seen each other, really seen each other, and stayed. You've crossed through the infatuation, weathered the disappointment, and resisted the temptation to run. And now, in the quiet of this hard-won peace, you may wonder. So remember, stage 1 will thrill you. Stage 2 will humble you. Stage 3 will break you. But stage 4, if you're patient enough, will remake you. And that's the secret. Not everyone gets there. Not everyone should. Some relationships are meant to teach, not last. Some are mirrors, some are lessons, and some are fire meant to burn away your illusions. But if you find someone willing to walk the path with you, to turn toward you in the silence, to stay through the storm, to become more with you, then protect it, nurture it, because you're not just in love, you are becoming love. And there is no deeper magic than that.